Hi, Miss Eastburn's class. It's Miss Sharpe. I hope you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, or evening, or whatever you're choosing to do your e-learning activities. Today we are going to just talk a little bit about rounding. You guys have already learned rounding a little bit so far, but we're just going to go back over it so that you guys can have a lot of practice and that you can really master how to round. So, first things first, what is rounding? Rounding is making a number easier to understand and interpret. It makes a number simpler. So, for example, the census of the United States tells us that there are 299,588,632 people in the United States. What's the census, you ask? It is something that tells us a little bit about the population of America. It tells us about the people, it tells us how many people, it tells us what the people do, kinds of things like that. So yeah, the census tells us that there is 299,588,632 people in the United States. So instead of just saying that whole big number of how many people there are in the United States, you can round that number up and make it a much simpler number. So since there are a little bit over 299 million people in the United States, you can round that number up to 300 million people. Don't you think that would be easier to explain than remembering the 9-digit number of people in the United States? I think so too. So when we're rounding, first you need to figure out what place value you are going to round to. Are you going to round to the nearest 10, the nearest 100, or the nearest 1,000? I don't know, you gotta figure that out. So sometimes you'll have a question that's asking you what to round to, or sometimes you'll just have to decide what you want to round to and it doesn't really matter, you're just going to make it a simpler number. So first, if it's asking you to round to, let's say, the nearest 10, you're going to look to the number to the right of the nearest 10. So you're looking at the ones place to determine what the nearest 10 is. If the number in the ones place, or the number to the right of the place value, is less than 5, then the number in the tens place is going to stay the same. If the number is 5 or more in the ones place, then the tens place is going to go up. So say you have a number of 79. You're going to look and see which digit is in the tens place, and that would be the 7. And then you're going to look at the digit to the right of that, which is 9. So is 9 above 5? Yes, it is. So you are going to round up, making the number from 79 to 80. If that makes sense. Then, after the fact, you are going to change every digit after that right one to 0. So in the case of 79, there's no numbers to the right of 9, so there's no need to change anything to 0. However, if you have a number such as 463, then if you're rounding to the nearest tens place, you're going to look at the 3, which is the ones place, to the right of it. Is it less than 5 or greater than 5? 3 is less than 5, so the number is going to stay the same. So it's going to stay at 460. The 3 will change to a 0. Okay, let's look at a couple more examples. So if I were to ask you, what is 679 rounded to the nearest 100? 100. Okay, so now we need to look at what digit is in the hundreds place. The 6. The 6 is in the hundreds place, so we'll just underline that. The 6 is in the hundreds place. So now we need to look at the number directly to the right of it, which is 7. Okay, is the 7 greater than or less than 5? It is greater than, so the number that we just underlined, the hundreds place, is going to go up 1. So we're going to go from 679 to 700 if we are rounding to the nearest hundreds place. So let's say we're rounding to the nearest tens place. Now we're going to look at the 7, which is in the tens place, and then we're going to look at the 1, which is directly to the right of it. Is that greater than or less than 5? It's greater than 5, so the number in the tens place is going to go up 1, which would change to 680 if you're rounding to the nearest 10. Okay, let's do one more. 4,231. In this number, we're going to round to the nearest 10. Which digit is in the tens place? It's a 3. So we're going to underline that because that is our round off digit. That's what we're going to round off with. And then you have to look directly to the right of it at 1. Is 1 greater than or less than 5? It's less than. So what does that mean? That means that the 3 in the tens place is going to stay the same, and the 1 is going to change to a 0. So your number rounded to the nearest tens place is going to be 4,230. Now let's say that we're going to round this to the nearest hundreds place. The hundreds place is now in the 2. So right here, now we need to look directly to the right. Is the 3 greater than or less than 5? Less than 5, so the 3 is going to change to a 0 and the 2 is going to change the same, or stay the same. So you will have 4,200 if you're rounding to the nearest hundreds place. So rounding is just a way to make a number simpler. It shouldn't make your life any harder. It's just making numbers simpler to explain by going up or down, whether it tells you to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, or even to the nearest 1,000, which in the nearest 1,000 you would do the same thing as you would with the hundreds or tens, just start in the thousands place. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you guys are having a good day, and I will see you tomorrow.